Hello and welcome everyone to Last Level Press. I'm Mr. Black, and this is my first 15 with Metro Conflict, a free-to-play competitive shooter just released on Steam, and it comes from developers Red Duck, who also created Alliance of Valiant Arms. And I apologize if I'm a little reserved for this episode, as I'm currently recording while wounded, so please forgive a certain level of austerity from me. So, I've already a couple of misgivings with this game, chiefly to do with its settings, as I've set my resolution at 1920 by 1080 and full screen, and yet I'm looking at a windowed game currently. I'm not sure whether that will translate well in terms of the aspect ratio into the final recording, so apologies for any issues there. And I'm also less than impressed with the variety of options available for video settings, as there is no advanced options tab. There are only these presets for texture, background, shadow, anti-aliasing, and whatever low-end shader means, a gamma slider, resolution, and that's it. So this is less than satisfactory for current shooters of any type, really. Audio thankfully does allow for multiple channels worth of sliders, and controls are remappable, which is nice to see. So, we shall now investigate a little further. I've checked into some of the windows and tabs, and as I understand it, I think that there is an in-game currency, whatever these G currencies are, accrued through achievements and through playing matches. And then there are these, I forget the name, Astros, which are obviously a paid currency at a rate of 100 Astros per $5. I've actually yet to come across anything within the shop that costs Astros, so I'm not entirely concerned as yet for the model. However, I'm not yet certain either how reasonable these prices are. I can see that I started with a currency of 100,000 and that new characters cost anywhere from 200 to 900, and I think there's a certain level of competition in this game, and so I'll revisit an old concern of mine in many different titles. When competition is an aspect of gameplay, why then are certain characters more expensive than others, as it tends to connotate that certain characters are more powerful, or at least strategically advantageous than others, and so the pricing causes me a little concern. However, I've yet to play a single round, so I'll simply note that as something that I'm a little nervous of. I noticed that weapons, too, are much cheaper than characters, which is nice, as I could actually afford several weapons, although many of these seem to be for characters I do not own. And items I have none. I've also noticed within, I think it was the Footlocker Challenge tab, that I think these are rewards. One can gain up to and including skins and crates of currency for actually achieving certain achievements. So if I'm reading that correctly, I kind of like the idea of that, of unlocking things via achievements. So the UI is a little complex and arcane, and I'm not entirely fond of that. However, it looks as though they're trying to give a lot of information, which I can't complain terribly much about. As for the character selection, there appears to be a fair variety, each with their own sets of weapons and abilities, and it seems Striker is available at the start, as is Hawkeye, and I kind of like the look of Hawkeye, actually. There's also El Tigre. He looks like a loner, truly, a lone wolf on the field of combat. Ana, whom it seems is the only one to dual wield. Chris, whom I can only assume is a close combat specialist. And Big Daddy, very originally named. And Jeffrey, and why is the one African-American gentleman in this entire game got to have the one and only puffy tactivest? Why? Why? I know why. Alright, let's see here. Trish, whom I like the look of, however, I could do without the tactical one piece. Alright then. And as for the mode selection, it appears there are multiple modes available: training, co-op, PvP, a story mode, AI team deathmatch, and a custom play, your match, your rules. So I've yet to complete any training, however I suspect I've probably all I really need to know, so I think for now I'll hop into some PvP, and I might check into the story mode sometime later. And as I suspected, the settings started to take once I connected to a match, which may very well affect the aspect ratio of this final episode. However, I shall deal. Let's see, is my mouse somewhere? Apparently I've defaulted to striker. Alright then. Whoa. Whoa! Okay, alright. The mouse sensitivity is incredibly low. Can I adjust that mid-match? Please, no, no. Okay, there's even weird mouse acceleration on the menu. Oh no, cannot change that option during gameplay. Can I change my mouse sensitivity? Thank you. Alright, let's increase that significantly. Apply. No, do not exit. Close, there we are. Alright, now it's actually controllable. My location has been revealed to the motion sensor. The motion sensor. Because apparently there's only one, really. Oh. Oh no, I cannot iron sight. Oh no. I am spoiled with games that allow me such things. Oh, okay, I see. So I can I iron sight? Can I scope in with Hawkeye? Let's see. Yes, I can. Alright, so apparently only scoped weapons can aim at all. Alright. Let's see. Ow! So, each character has, I think, a suit ability, and it appears Hawkeye's is a cloak of some sort. I'm not sure how long it lasts. So, let's see. This is a TDM match. Eliminate all enemies. I will stick with Hawkeye, because the inability to iron sight is crippling to me. Alright. So, as for the asset quality, this actually looks fairly decent. I think this is rendered on the Unreal Engine, and it's making decent use of its assets in terms of lighting, shaders, and the optimization could use some work, as this frame rate is not ideal, and I have a rather powerful PC, so to have any sort of performance issues is rather rare and a red flag for me. So the UI, at least, is very approachable. It is well designed, and it seems as though I can't sprint. If I hold shift, I seem to move slower. Alright. Alright, let's reload. Do I have any sidearms? I do. I have a little Glock, which again, I cannot iron sight with, unless it's simply another key command. No, it's not right click, it's not middle mouse. Alright, so aim down sight is simply not a thing for non-scoped weapons. Ah, nice shot. I'm definitely seeing a certain amount of influence from other competitive shooters, notably Counter-Strike, in these controls. It seems as though it's a very arcadey shooter, and while that's not necessarily my preferred style of game to play, I know it is very appealing to some, so I'll note it all the same. And I make attempts whenever I comment upon these sorts of things, especially when a game is not necessarily of a genre I personally enjoy, to make it clear when I'm simply voicing my personal preference and not necessarily a critical comment upon the quality of a game. Yeah. I'm very, very injured. Alright, so I need to deploy the motion sensor out there. Oh, I see. I don't have a cloak, I have a motion sensor. And it's not a throwable item, it's like a ping centered on me. It's essentially like an active radar. Alright, I see. As for exactly what it does, I assume it reveals the presence of enemies on the minimap at the top left. I'm not entirely sure, given where all of these things are in the HUD. My face cam will appear in this episode. Got someone, finally. Ah, missed. I am not good at this game. There we go. I hit you, I think. I am not entirely certain. Alright, let's switch over to Striker again. Perhaps I'll have more favorable luck at close quarters. So, what's his sidearm? The same. Alright, so his ability is recover health. Alright, so Striker is definitely meant for stopping power on the field of battle. Alright, there we are. Good. Alright. You know what's funny is I can't aim, and yet he's got like a laser sight attachment on the shroud of his weapon, it seems a little counterintuitive to the actual design. It's just tactical for the sake of itself. Alright then. So, I suppose after I complete this round, I'm not... Ah, nice. Well played. I'm not expecting to accrue a lot of any sort of currency, because I am not doing well at all. However, I can at least use it as some form of judgment in terms of, alright, that was over a little quicker than I thought. And my recording cut out, I apologize for that, as it shifted from full screen to once again windowed from the transition match to menu, and in all honesty, I hate that. I hate that, and not just as a recorder, just in general. It's annoying, it's inconsistent, it's just incredibly poorly designed menu and function, especially when, in my settings, I have it set to stay full screen 1080. There is no excuse for this kind of horrible UI design. Alright, resume. Fairness. So, what have I received? Overall, I've acquired 865 G currencies, and I'm not sure what else, some XP. So, let's see. It looks as though I can level individual characters. Alright, that's interesting. And it looks like I receive new weapons upon leveling. Alright, I like that. Free progression of items and equipment is always a welcome thing. And yes, I did very terribly. I was in 13th place. Lucky me. So, now, let's have... What is that? A notice. Gift has arrived. Gift? What gift? Footlocker. Agent selects package? You can select one of the following characters. Chris, Jeffrey, and Big Daddy. You may not select the character you already have. I'm not sure how I earned that, however I'll take it. So let's use that. Who of them should I unlock? I think I'll unlock Chris, since he seems to use a shotgun, and shotties seem like they would be rather useful in this game. So, item use complete. Alright, so I have a free character now. Alright, apparently one can do that. Or it's something that everyone receives early on as a means to sort of hook you and keep you playing the game. I acknowledge that may very well end up the case. As for the reasonability of pricing, let's say I did a little more favorably in that round. Call it an even 1,000 credits received as a reward for a round. What then does that mean I would need to accrue, and how many rounds would I need to play in order to unlock a new character? A lot. That would be in excess of 200 for any of these, 900 for either of these. As for weapons, that would be not all that many. Seems as though it would be anywhere from, let's say 10 to 50, which is still rather stout. However, those rounds seem to pass rather quickly, so I'd call that reasonable. I'm not sure about the pricing of the agents. Again, I simply lack the requisite time spent with the game to know whether or not there's a reasonable assumption that one could actually accrue those things. I'm simply curious, however, how exactly I might actually purchase one of them. So if, say I wanted to purchase Trish, can I buy her with... Here we are. Alright, so there was spend GP and no other option. I'm uncertain as to whether Astros are even an active thing in the game yet. I assume they will. I'm not sure though. So it seems as though there's also a certain level of distinction between having weapons temporarily, as in rentals, and having them permanently. I cannot attempt that. Let's try one of these. Why can't I buy any of these? I now have Chris. Why can't I buy these? I am not at all certain. I assume I might need to have the character at a certain... Yes, okay, requirement Chris above level 2. So, alright. That's why. How about either of them? Okay. I'm wondering now whether that level reward I saw was something I'll automatically receive at that level, or whether I can simply then have the option to purchase that thing, which is a little less favorable, however, with the pricing of the weapons, acceptable. All I'm really uncertain of at this stage is how exactly, other than the reception of the random character voucher, which I have no idea how I received, one goes about the unlocking of characters short of simply grinding for many, many, many hours in order to accrue enough credits for it. So I'll leave this episode here. I know I've gone a little over time, however, there's a fair amount to cover here. And as I mentioned previously, there are many, many modes. It appears there's actually sub-modes within some of these. There is Team Deathmatch, Demolition, Q-Brush, whatever that is, within Co-op, Defense, and then of course Training as a story mode, AI Deathmatch, and Custom Play. So, I think that is all I have to cover for Metro Conflict. I'm not certain it's hooked me well enough for me to keep coming. It's simply not my style of game. I prefer somewhat more cerebral shooters, however, I say that as a note of personal preference, not necessarily of objective critique. So if this seems like the sort of title you're interested in, I encourage you to check it out. As I mentioned, it is now free to play, and you may enjoy it a little more than I have. So, I'm Mr. Black here at Last Level Press, and as always, I wish you all good gaming, and Godspeed. Wow, do you even texture, bro? What is that? What in the world is... Why did your gun have no sound? Oh my god. I don't know if I can deal with this. I really don't. And as a little post-credit addendum, I know I mentioned earlier I am recording while wounded, and I know some of you are going to be curious about that. The short of it is, I was climbing a fence to return some loose dogs in the neighborhood, and I stepped on a cinder block to raise myself up to get the dog into the yard. And the cinder block decided it wanted to fall, and so I went scraping down the side of it, and there's a metal latch sticking out of that fence, and so I have a nice long gouge in my torso now, and it hurts kind of a lot. So thank me in the comments for dealing with the pain through the recording. This is how much I love you guys.